Welcome to episode 23 of our ComfyUI tutorial series. Today, I will show you how to install and use Flux Tools. I am on the Black Forest Labs page. They created the Flux model and have now released Flux Tools. It includes a model called Flux Fill, which lets you inpaint easily by selecting portions of an image and generating something new in that area. And there's also the Flux Depth model, which is similar to ControlNet, and it can recognize a depth map, allowing you to generate something new based on that map. Flux Canny uses a Canny image to guide the generation, and Flux Redux can create variations similar to the image you provide. They also have something similar to the IP adapter, but from what I saw, only the API is available for that option. From this page, you can find links to all the models. The hugging smiley icon means the model is on the Hugging Face page, so if I click on one, I can find more information and download that model. On the ComfyUI blog, you can also find information about each model, including what each model does, how to use it, and how to get started. For example, you need to update ComfyUI to access the latest nodes so you can run these new models. It also shows you which models go in which folder. They provide some examples as well, so if you visit this link, you can find various examples for different models. Scroll down until you find the Flux model, and here you will find instructions on how to install it. We covered that already in episodes 8 and 10, so make sure to check those if you haven't run Flux before. You'll also see the Flux Fill model with a link to the model and instructions on where to place it. Additionally, the images contain the workflow, so I can drag this image into ComfyUI, and it will load that workflow, allowing me to start testing. I will show you in this video and also provide links to everything so you can get started quickly. I recommend watching the entire video first and then starting the installation to make sure you install only what you need, as some models can be quite large. Are you ready? Go to the manager and click on Update All to update ComfyUI and all the nodes, or it won't work. Wait for it to finish. You can see what is being installed in the command window. Once the installation is complete, the Restart button will appear. Click on it and then click OK. Now let's get the Flux Fill model. On the Hugging Face page, you need to agree to the terms before you can download it, so make sure you log in and click Agree. Once you've agreed, you can access and download the model. Keep in mind that this model is huge, just like the original Flux model, so make sure you have plenty of space on your hard drive. Click the Download button, then go to the ComfyUI folder, navigate to the Models folder, and then the UNet folder. This model contains only the UNet part, so the VAE and clip models are not included, meaning you'll need to load those separately. As you can see, I've already saved the model in this folder. Now for text encoders, we need the clip L and T5 floating point 16 models. You might already have them. Go to the models folder, then the clip folder, and check if you have them. As you can see, I have the clip L and T5 models. If you don't have them, start downloading them and place them in the clip folder. By the way, if you want to see the workflows open in tabs, like you have documents open in Photoshop, you can go to Settings and search for Workflows. For the setting called Open Workflow Position, you can choose Top Bar. Now, go to the Workflow tab, then open it, and I'll add all these workflows to Discord so you can download them for free. Let's open the Flux Fill Inpaint workflow. This is very similar to the Flux workflows we've used so far, with a few exceptions. We use a load diffusion model node, not a checkpoint. Remember, it only has the UNet part, which is why we added the model to the UNet folder. We then load the Flux Fill model. Next, for the dual clip loader, we have the clip L and T5 models that you downloaded in the clip folder. This won't work with the GUF T5 clip models. Between the model and the K-sampler, we have the differential diffusion node, which enhances the denoising process by applying a differential mask function. This refines noise reduction and improves the diffusion model's output during each step. Then, we have the Inpaint model conditioning, which prepares the necessary inputs for inpainting by combining the positive and negative prompts, latent VAE input, pixel information, and the mask. It ensures the diffusion model focuses on the masked area while preserving context from the unmasked regions, enabling accurate and seamless edits. Now let me show you how it works. In the Load Image node, you can load an image. Then, right-click and select Open in Mask Editor. I already have a mask here, so I will clear it using this button. After that, I can adjust the mask thickness and paint the area I want to change. I showed a different inpainting method in episode 17 that works with SDXL models and talked more about the mask editor, but this method works great with Flux, so I definitely recommend using this one. I usually paint the area larger so it has space for a soft transition around the edges. Then I click Save to Node. Now the mask is saved with the image and it's prepared. We can now add a prompt describing what I want to see. In this case, a cute cartoon bunny wearing a black superhero mask. When I run the workflow, it will load all the models, so if you don't have enough video RAM, it might not work. The prompt, image, and mask are sent together to the K-sampler, and then the image is decoded, resulting in our final image. Look how well it fits the mask on the bunny. If you don't like it, you can go back to the mask editor and adjust the mask, change the prompt, or try a different seed. If you like it and want to keep it but make more changes, you can right-click on the image and select Copy Image. Then select the Load Image node and use Ctrl+V to paste it. Now, this becomes the starting point image. I am opening this image in the mask editor, and this time let's say I want to select this bottle. I click Save to Node, and now I describe what I want to see in that area. For example, let's add a cartoon toy rocket on the table. Flux generates exactly that for me and blends it perfectly, so I'm quite happy with this model. Sometimes the object you want to change might have a shadow, so in some cases you can open the mask editor again and add to the mask to include the shadow as well. I save the new mask to the node, and when I run it, I get a new rocket with its shadow. If you don't like it, you can run the workflow again to get a different toy rocket. If I like the result, I can copy the image again and paste it into the Load Image node, then make more edits. Maybe I want to add a magic black hat on the bunny's head, so I do the masking, change the prompt, and run the workflow. Here's the result. It looks great. Now let's use this image again, but this time we'll try outpainting. I'm including the outpainting workflow on Discord too, but it's easy to switch from inpainting to outpainting. We just search for the outpainting node, and we have the pad image for outpainting node. Let's make some room for the new node. Now we connect our image to the new node, and the node's image output goes to Inpaint model conditioning. This time, the mask isn't the one from the mask editor, but the one from the pad image for outpainting node. That's it. Now it's converted into an outpainting workflow. Here, we can select which direction to extend the image and how many pixels. The feathering controls how much to blur the mask around the edges, helping it blend better. Let's expand the image to the left by 400 pixels, and for the prompt, I tell it what I want to see there. In this case, a 3D cartoon restaurant interior. When I run it, I get an image with the new area seamlessly blended with the original image. How cool is that? I will try now, instead of expanding to the left, to expand the top and bottom to see how it handles that. It worked well, except for the bottom part of the bunny. I can run it again to get a different seed, but the bottom part is still not quite accurate. I'll try adjusting the prompt to include the bunny and see if that helps. Now the proportions seem a little better. The key is to experiment with prompts and describe more accurately what you want to see so you can guide the AI in the right direction. I'm sure I'll use this more in future episodes, but let's move on to the next model. On the Hugging Face page, we need to agree to the terms to access this model as well. The good part is that this is a small model, so we can use it with the existing models we already have, and it will just guide the existing Flux model in the right direction. Click on Download, then go to the ComfyUI folder, Models, and look for the Style Models folder. This is the first time I'm using a style model, so we'll download it to this folder. As you can see, I've already downloaded the model. We also need the Clip Vision Patch model, which is not very large either. Click Download, go to the Models folder, then look for the Clip Vision folder and save the model there. If you had your workflow and ComfyUI open, you can use the refresh button if you don't see the models in the list. Make sure the model has been downloaded completely. Now, I'll open the workflow named Flux Redux 1 image. For this workflow, I am using Flux Dev Q8, just like in other episodes, along with the Q8 T5 clip model. Then, between the Flux Guidance and K-Sampler, we have the Apply Style Model node. We did something similar when we created the ControlNet workflow, where we had the Apply ControlNet node. This node requires a style model and a clip vision model, which we downloaded earlier. We load the clip vision model with this node, then it goes to the clip vision encode node, and then to the apply style model. It also uses the image we uploaded. After that, we have the Flux Redux model, which allows us to create a variation of the existing image. Let's run the workflow to see what it does. It generated a new cube similar to the existing image. So it's not like ControlNet where the composition stays the same. Instead, it's more like an accurate interpretation of the image that can be generated again, similar to a style transfer like the IP adapter, which only allows you to upload an image and get a random version of that. The way I see it is that you upload an image and get a variation of that image without needing to write a prompt, and you can use any aspect ratio, unlike image to image, which requires a similar image ratio. As you can see, I can write red box in the prompt, but that will not make the box red. I'll just get another variation of the image. I saw on their site that they mentioned the style transfer control is only available via the API, where you can use the prompt, so I'm not sure yet, but we'll see in the coming weeks. Let me try with a different image. I'll choose this red flower, and I get this variation of the flower. I can change the ratio of the latent image, so I can choose a portrait ratio, and I'll get a variation of the image in that ratio without distortions like you might get with image to image. So we used an image and got a variation, but we can actually combine two images. Let me show you how I did that. I saved this workflow as Flux Redux 2 images. So let me explain what's going on here. We have the first image, just like in the other workflow, with the clip vision that is encoded, and it goes to the apply style model. Then I added a second image, which goes to the second clip vision node. Instead of adding another load clip vision node, I'm using the existing node since it's the same model. All that goes to the second apply style model node. This one is positioned between the first apply style node and the K sampler, so it's connected and you can add more nodes if you want. So I have this landscape image that I want to combine with a dog image. When I run the workflow, I get a random combination of the two images. Let me move them around so you can see it better. Now, what happens if I change the image and add a desert landscape instead? Well, I get another random combination of those images. You don't have control over where they are placed, and it's random, but you can get some interesting results. What happens if I combine a portrait of a woman with the photo of the dog? You get a little bit of both images. So it's nice to explore different ideas that you probably wouldn't get if you only used prompts alone. Let me see what happens if I combine it with this wizard portrait. I mentioned earlier that I saw on their site that restyling is available via the API, so I'm not sure when we'll have local access to that, if we ever do. Or maybe I didn't interpret the text correctly. If someone knows, feel free to let me know. Here's the result. It's actually not bad. So it can be useful sometimes. I just hope they make it so I can actually prompt how I want things to be. Like if I want a man with a dog, it won't work right now. Or maybe I'm doing something wrong. So this feature was just released, so maybe I missed something. Feel free to correct me. Let's try one more workflow with 3 images. For this one, I have 3 apply style model nodes chained together, and of course, 3 different images. The more images you have, the more likely you are to get something more abstract or strange. I feel like a mad scientist doing experiments. Ha ha ha. So the image isn't great, but it has elements from each image in the result. If I try a different seed, I get something else. The results are even more interesting when you combine different types of images, like graphics with real photos. Let's see what happens if I combine a man, a woman, and a landscape. Okay, I got this new strange person that looks like me and says, "What have you done?" Let's take it to another level of madness and add another person into the mix, and we got this. Not sure if you can even prompt to get something like this without using these combinations, maybe with a condition average node or something. So you get the idea of what it can do. Now it's time to move to the next model. On this page, we have the Flux Canny model. We agree to the terms again. And then if we go to files and versions, we have this model, which is again quite large. If it's too big for you, there's also a smaller LoRA version available, which I'll show in a few minutes. Download the model, then go to the ComfyUI folder, models, and look for the diffusion models folder. This is where you can place the Canny model. We do the same for the depth model. Agree to the terms for that one as well. It's the same size, so I hope you have enough space and a good internet connection. Place it in the same diffusion models folder. Now let's open a workflow to see what it can do. Let's start with the depth model. It's somewhat similar to the workflow with ControlNet. We load the depth model using the load diffusion model node. You can try different weight D-type settings to see if they make it faster. Then, just like in the Flux Fill workflow, we have the clip L and T5 clip models, the prompt, and then we load the image that we'll use as a guide. This depth model only recognizes depth map images. So to generate a depth map, I'm using the preprocessor node where I've loaded the depth anything preprocessor. If you get an error on this, make sure you've activated long path in Windows. When I run the workflow, you can see that the image goes through the preprocessor and I get a depth map. That depth map is then sent to instruct pix to pix conditioning. The Flux Depth model is connected directly to the K sampler. This one uses a high flux guidance, so set it to 30 if you want to avoid artifacts. Everything then goes together to the K sampler where the magic happens. Also, the size of the image that goes to the latent space is the size we set here for height. So if I open this image, you can see it has 1024 in height. If you're using a very wide ratio image here and the resolution is set to 1024, you might end up with a 2000 pixel wide image that goes to the K sampler, which would be larger than the 2 megapixel size that Flux supports. In that case, change the resolution to something smaller, like 512 or 768 pixels, and this is the final result. The skin texture is a little strong, so you might want to try different settings for steps, samplers, and schedulers to get better results. Let's change the color of the outfit to black and maybe add some red eyes. The result is this one. It's a little bit overcooked, but I can try decreasing the flux guidance. However, I have a feeling that might make it worse. We usually use the 3.5 value, but in this case, it's not working, so I'll keep it at 30. Try different values and maybe you can find better settings and share them with me. Let me try a different image. Maybe that wizard had done some dark magic to influence the result. For this woman, I want just a portrait of a woman with purple hair in the winter. The result is quite interesting. The snow on the face doesn't fit, but let's say it's just magic. It's a new model, so we don't know much about it yet, but it's a promising one. Let's move to the last model, Flux Canny. I'll load this Flux Canny workflow. The entire workflow is almost the same, except that we need to select the Flux Canny model. I've loaded a different image, and for the preprocessor, I need to select Canny. If you don't want to use this node, ComfyUI has its own Canny node for the preprocessor. For the prompt, I added that I want a cute cartoon 3D gnome. The image was processed, and we got a Canny image that the Flux Canny model can understand. Just like in the other workflows, everything is combined, and we get this cute little cartoon gnome ready and colored for me. The quality is quite nice. I like it. Let me try a different image that's not a sketch, like this 3D render of a robot. I'll change the prompt to robot. We got our Canny map, and this is the final result. So it's really useful, and the workflow is quite simple. For those who want to try a smaller model, you can try the LoRA version. We have the Flux Canny LoRA model here. Agree to the terms, and as you can see, it's 20 times smaller in size. Download the model, go to the models folder, and look for the LoRa's folder. You can place it here, or in my case, I have a folder named Flux for better organization. I placed it in the Flux folder. Click Save. Let's do the same for the other LoRA model, the Depth LoRA. Click Agree and download it into the same LoRa's folder. I will load this workflow called Flux Canny LoRA. For this one, I'm using the Flux Dev Q8 model, just like we did in other episodes with a LoRA, and I really like the Power LoRA loader. Check episode 17 to learn more about LoRA. I've loaded the Flux Canny LoRA here, and for the strength, I've set it to 0.75. I like using LoRA because it gives me control over how strongly the model influences the result. In the full Dev Canny model, I haven't found a way to control the strength yet. Then I have the prompt, and for guidance, you need a smaller value like 10. We have the sketch, which is using the Canny preprocessor, and everything goes to the instruct pix to pix conditioning node. Let's test it. The result is quite nice. It looks like a sticker. So if you have good sketches, this is quite useful. Let's try it with the wizard again. Using this Canny LoRA and keeping the same prompt for the gnome, I got this gnome image. So all these models that were released can really help control your generations. Let's open the Flux Depth LoRA workflow. Again, it looks the same. I just changed and added a different LoRA here in the Power LoRA loader node. For the preprocessor, I selected Depth Anything Preprocessor. The result is this. Since I have control over intensity here, the skin texture isn't as strong as in the full model. If I reduce the strength even more, it won't keep the same composition, but it's somewhat similar. The angle of the face is not the same, but at least we can get some variety. To get the workflows, it's free. Just use this link to join the Pixaroma server. This link is always updated. Click on it, then go to the site and accept the invite. We just reached 5,000 members, so thank you to everyone who joined and helped grow the community. In the Pixaroma workflow channel, you can find all the workflows for all the episodes, so you can download and test them. For beginners, we also have a frequently asked questions section for ComfyUI, where I posted some common errors and how to fix them. Of course, you can chat about ComfyUI in the ComfyUI channel. If you encounter errors, please also post screenshots of your workflow and the command window, along with what you tried to do when you got the error. Also, if you have time, you can check out my other 2 YouTube channels. You can find the links here. On Alt Flux, I post ambience videos and relaxing music, which I usually play on a loop on my TV. For the AI 2Play channel, I post AI experiments with different tools, along with tutorials like how to use Kling AI and others. That's all for today. Thank you all for helping this YouTube channel grow. A special thanks to the legends and VIPs, as well as everyone who's active on Discord, growing our community. If you found something useful, please leave a like and a comment. Thank you so much. Have a great day, and I'll see you on Discord.